So I received this communication the other day from Father Christmas of all people, and he told me that he's decided that he's had enough with 2020, which I think is fair, but he's decided to take a hiatus from Christmas, which means that someone needs to step in and deal with all the production of the toys and set them for delivery for 2020. And I think using certain lean manufacturing principles, we can get the job done and save Christmas. So let's have a look into it. So what has Father Christmas left me with? Well, he's left me with his hard-working elves, as well as his magic workshop, which I assume provides sufficient machinery and the materials for production. We're going to start off by looking at the population of the UK, just to get an idea of figures. According to a YouGov poll, 91% of the UK population celebrates Christmas. There are 10.9 million children in the UK, aged 0 to 14 years old. Now, assuming that each child receives 10 gifts on average, this means we have 109 million gifts to make in 364 days. Let's say that families will typically start to plan for Christmas after Halloween finishes, so in reality we only have 53 days to produce 109 million gifts. Let's assume that we can categorise these toys into 5 groups: books, soft toys, tech, clothing, and others, where I can break these down into subdivisions for which we need to track production. So let's assume that Santa's workshop has a giant warehouse that will accommodate the production of this many items. We can subdivide this factory into sections where we have our production lines. Remember, we also need space for storage, which I assume we do in the North Pole. To give you an idea of what is capable, Coca-Cola globally produces 110 billion plastic bottles annually, which equates to 3,400 bottles per second. So we can handle 2 million toys a day, right? Well, for this challenge, we're going to go into the world of lean manufacturing, which originated in Toyota in the 1930s and is still being used worldwide today. Lean manufacturing is based on 5 principles, of which we're going to go through each one and see how we can apply it to Santa's workshop and getting presents out for Christmas. So the first principle in lean manufacturing is define value, which revolves around the customer and what kind of product they're wanting, when they are wanting it, and how much they're willing to pay for it. Now, our customers in this circumstance are the children, and they are wanting their Christmas presents on Christmas Day, of course. And I don't think we're going to charge them because that would be immoral. And Father Christmas has infinite wealth, according to Forbes, so I think we've got it covered. So companies nowadays do as much research as possible to provide the best product to their customers, and this usually involves things like interviews, surveys, feedback from previous products, polls, etc. There are many different ways in which the company can find out what the customer truly wants. And I think we have a very big advantage in this because we have all of the letters written to Father Christmas from the children. So we can use those as our research to provide the right number of toys to the right number of children, and everyone can be happy, I hope. The second principle of lean manufacturing is to map the value stream. Now, this uses the information gathered in our first step to map out the process steps in production to reduce as much waste as possible. There are 3 simple steps you can carry out by identifying which processes and steps are essential and which are valuable to the project. If an activity adds value, then do what you can to optimize this process step. If an activity does not add value but is essential to your processes, minimize these processes as much as possible. These can include things like legal requirements or instructions. And finally, eliminate any of the activities within your process steps that do not add any value at all. For us in Santa's workshop, we can also use this to set up our production lines. Given the sheer number of toys we are aiming to produce, we will undoubtedly be running multiple production lines in parallel to improve output and add a protective buffer if a production line must pause for whatever reason. So the third principle in lean manufacturing is to create flow. Now once you've removed those unnecessary steps from your processes, you need to ensure that your production lines run as smoothly as possible. So when you're breaking down those production lines into process steps, make sure you configure them to maximize the efficiency of those lines. For us, we are going to break down our individual production lines into their process steps, but also look out for things like cross-functionality. For example, if I wanted instructions for a Lego set, I could use the printing section of the book's production line and then integrate it back in to the Lego set at the end of the, I assume would be the others category. Also remember to establish WIP limits within your process. This will help to create flow, as well as reducing queues and waiting times. The fourth lean principle is to establish pull. And this principle aims to reduce a big waste in production, which is inventory. This is particularly important for production companies to ensure they meet demand, while still having the available materials to make their product without overstocking, which increases storage costs and depreciation. The pull is typically driven by demand of the customer, such that the storage and inventory costs are kept to a minimum. So the final lean principle is to pursue perfection, which is particularly important for me if Father Christmas decides that he doesn't want to return from his hiatus and I have to save Christmas again in 2021. I need to gather all of the information on what went well this Christmas, what didn't go well, and how I can improve on those things for next year. For example, if there was a specific element of one of the production lines which kept going wrong and became a persistent problem, then I need to ensure that that doesn't happen next year in order for things to run more smoothly. So now that I've covered those 5 lean principles, it's time for action. I'm going to be sticking with production as our main focus because 2 million toys per day is quite a big task, and that's just considering the UK population. I still need to scale it out globally. So given these figures, I now need to ask myself, how am I able to view the progress of 5 large production sectors at a glance, and remotely from the workshop when needed? How can I identify bottlenecks in production? And finally, how am I able to generate KPIs and log actions and lessons learned? Well, for this, I will be using a digital visual management tool, and in this instance a tool called Optimise, which will allow me to answer these 3 hows and succeed as the Santa stand-in. So there we have it. I'm pretty sure I've managed to save Christmas using the 5 principles of lean manufacturing and the use of a digital visual management tool. You're welcome. What approaches would you take if you were put in my shoes and had to become Father Christmas for the year? Please let me know in the comments down below, and like and share this video around. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. There'll be much more content to come out in 2021, I can guarantee you that. As for now, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. My name's Father Christmas, Tom Llewellyn, and I will speak to you again very soon.